Hello and welcome back everyone to our 9-month around the world adventure. And today we've made it to the amazing city and entire area around Naples, Italy, where we're going to see the ancient ruins of Pompeii and get a view of the Amalfi Coast.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike,
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the
and
fullest.
we're living that full life going around the world on Serenade of the Seas on the Ultimate World Cruise.
We are friends, and today our cruise ship is docking in Naples, Italy. However, we are going to go down to Pompeii. So, Naples is on the west coast of Italy. It's down south, down lower, and it's beautiful, but it's hot
It is
down
hot.
here.
Yeah, we're here in the summer. We're here in late June, early July. And yeah, it's top tourist season and it's top heat season right now.
Yes, it
So
is.
one of our first pro tips, do Naples in the shoulder season.
Oh, if
Try
at
to
all
avoid
possible.
try to avoid this time of year because it is hot and it is crowded. So you'll see some of that as we go through our video today. But yeah, it's pretty warm down here. Well, we had a private tour. Actually, it was arranged by a friend of ours. There are 6 of our friend group here that are getting together, and we have a private driver that's meeting us right at the cruise ship pier. And he was on time. He was right there, had a nice van, got us all in. And before we head to Pompeii, though, we're going to go down and see the very famous Amalfi Coast. Now, the Amalfi Coast is an area further south from Naples, and it's known as a resort area, beaches, beautiful views, mountains, homes, all the architecture there in the Amalfi area. And we drove through the mountains, and the drive through the mountains was amazing. It was gorgeous.
It was. It was. And so we ended up we went to the city of Amalfi. Now it happens to be a Sunday here, and it almost felt like it was a turnover day on a cruise ship because people were coming and going. It was so crowded. The streets are narrow, and there's cars going down these very narrow, what I would consider to be a pedestrian street.
Yeah. And in addition to that, it was so packed and so crowded with tourists this time of year. I mean, if you looked at the beach, people were stacked like cordwood. I mean, just
They
laying
were.
right next to each other. It was so cramped and so many people. So I truly don't think in the experience we had, we really gave Amalfi a fair shake here, a fair view, because it was so crowded, so packed. We talked to other people who are like, oh, I love the Amalfi Coast. Where did you go? And it
And
was
I
like,
wanted to love it.
yeah.
I really did.
And the views, the scenery and the coastline itself was very beautiful,
Gorgeous.
but it was just so crowded, hot, and just packed and bustling with people that it really took away from the experience. But, well, let's go ahead and tell a little bit what we did here in Amalfi. We got off of our van, we walked into the town, walked up kind of the main area, and looked at a couple little sites. There was a beautiful fountain that had the little characters like you collect for our nativity set. What is
Oh, the little Fontanini
Yeah.
Figurines.
Uh-huh.
That was very sweet to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, it was basically a nativity fountain to right there. That was really fascinating. Oh, you had a little treat.
I did. So I had in a lemon that they had hollowed out a limoncello sorbet and a lemon sorbet, and it was actually quite good. It was
Yeah.
expensive,
Yeah.
but it was delicious.
Yeah, I tried a bite of it. It was pretty good. But yeah, I think it was, gosh, it was like 12 euros or something for this thing. It was
Yes.
kind of crazy, but you're in a place like this, and lemons are everywhere here.
They are
So
very
it's,
popular.
yeah, very popular. Well, we walked up to the church, the cathedral, and it was nice. We couldn't go inside because once again it was Sunday and mass was going on, so we couldn't make it to mass because we were there too late for mass. But the church itself on the outside was very beautiful. The tile work was just gorgeous in the main square there. The statues. Again, it was a nice city, things to see. It was just so crowded and packed that it made it difficult. Now, it's kind of, I guess believe me, we do understand the irony. We're saying that we are tourists complaining about all the tourists. But that's one of the dangers that you get when a place like Amalfi that's become so famous, so many people want to come and see it. And so you have to really time your visits to go outside that busy time. Being on a world cruise, we don't really get the luxury of timing it. We show up when we show up, and
Right.
we do the best we can. Well, after Amalfi, we went back, got on our van, drove back through the mountains, up and down the hills. We got some great overlooks of Naples, of Pompeii, of Vesuvius,
Mm-hmm.
and you could see it, out there in the distance, and what caused all that destruction back in 79 A.D. and worked our way to Pompeii.
So at this point, our driver actually handed us over to a professional guide to take us through the city of Pompeii. This is where Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD. There are up to 20 feet, it's up to 20 feet of volcanic ash, but this ash has truly preserved the city. It has absolutely been incredible. The city was kind of rediscovered back in the 16th century, and they started excavation in the 18th century. They feel like they've uncovered about 60% of the city, and it was huge. I was absolutely impressed with how large it was. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But now, what they're doing now is instead of uncovering more of it, they're really focused on the preservation of what they have uncovered. And it's just incredible, the things that you can see, the frescoes that you can see, the tile that you can
Mm-hmm.
see.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get over it.
Yeah, it was really. This was one of those cases that you've heard about it, you've read it, you've seen pictures. Everyone knows Pompeii.
Hmm.
I had no idea what to expect, though. I truly had almost no expectations. I thought it was going to be a fairly, small city. You're going to walk around a couple little areas, and that's kind of what they uncovered. It really was quite amazing. In fact, let's talk about. I think we had 6 impressions we took away. So here's our top 6 impressions that we took away from Pompeii. And I think the first is what we're saying was the scope.
The scope of it was just massive. It was much larger than I had thought. The second impression that I had was of these plaster casts were just fascinating. So these plaster casts are made because the ash covered people, their bodies had deteriorated, and so it had left a void, and it left like the perfect impression of, for instance, they were covering their mouths, and in the they were hunched over, or just the position that they were in when the volcano had erupted. And then as their bodies deteriorated, there was still bone there. There's even still bone in some of the plaster.
Right, they just took and filled
Very
those voids with
interesting.
plaster and then removed the plaster castings from that ash, as then they cleared the ash out around. Now, most of the original plaster castings they made of the people of Pompeii are actually in the Museum of Artifacts in Naples, so the Pompeii Museum there, not at the Pompeii site itself. They have a few examples there that you can see, and that's what you're seeing in the video here. But your brother and sister and our niece actually had been to Pompeii before, and so
Right.
they went to the museum instead and spent the day there. Now, one little tip or warning: the museum is not air conditioned, and today it's over 100 degrees out. It's very hot here in the summer, and they said it really almost detracted a little bit. They said the things they saw was amazing in the museum, but it was so hot in there that it did make it a little difficult to tour there. So just be aware, drink lots of water, just be prepared that you think you're going into a museum that's air conditioned. You're not.
The next impression that we had were the mosaics on the floor were absolutely incredible. You could see that those who had more money had fancier flooring, and some
Hmm.
of animals that you could see. I was just really amazed at how well preserved everything was.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting as our guide took us through. People made decisions back then exactly how we make them today. So he showed us in one home that they had mosaics in the front, and then they had standard stone floors in the back, because those are, of course, much less expensive. People are making choices of, well, I'm going to put my fancy stuff up front, I'm going to keep the
Right,
other stuff in the
right.
back. Then you had other homes that had all their floors were mosaics, but then they didn't have as many frescoes on the walls. And it's just, well, what their artistic choice was, how much money they had, where they were in society status wise, all that can be seen there. And I'm with you. The amount of mosaics that are there, the amount of preservation that are on them, the how well they're preserved is quite stunning. I was really impressed by those too.
Well, you mentioned frescoes. That really is our next impression. Was the frescoes were just perfect in some places. It was just you could just see all of the painting. Now, the colors that they got from the painting were from the various minerals in the soil, that they were able to make the different colors through minerals, and just it's something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and you can see one area here, so little warning, this is a little graphic. We're going to show you one of the brothel areas here that I was able to put and you can see the paintings on the walls that are
Cover your
preserved here.
children's eyes.
Yes, as we look through this one. But yeah, the whole preservation, the stories and everything that go into this, it's like instead of having television, you have the different paintings on the wall that was there for stories, entertainment, and everything, and amazingly preserved.
And the next area that we found so incredible was the bath, the community bath, the spa that they had there, and how they heated the water. And
Yeah, because a lot of this was covered with arches and it was all inside. That whole area did not get filled with volcanic ash and get covered like the other areas. So it was sealed in. And when they uncovered it, then all this was open. They could see the bath basins, the mosaic tile, all the work, how it was heated, where the baths were. That's an amazing piece. All the statuary that's still in there that was perfectly preserved. Quite fascinating walking through the baths and seeing that part of Pompeii. So again, something I never anticipated we'd see.
And the last area was the shops that lined the streets, much like you see today in many of the cities that we've toured in. The shops are in the front and their homes are in the back. And in some of the shops, they could even almost tell what was being sold. That this is a shop that sold soup or sold food for people. Just
Yeah.
interesting.
It's funny to think that the people of Pompeii were out buying fridge magnets, right along like everybody. But they had their shops lining the
had their
streets,
shops
just
lining-
like every European, every city we see in Asia or wherever. It's exactly the same today as it was in 79 AD. That they were doing the same things back then. Great takeaways. Those were our top 6 takeaways in Pompeii, and we cannot stress enough or recommend enough that if this is not something you've been to, this should be on your bucket list to come to
I'm so
Pompeii.
glad I got to see it. I truly am. I found it absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, we did. So this was really, really good. Well, after Pompeii, our our professional guide from Pompeii handed us back to our driver, and then our driver took us back down to the port area and dropped us off. So I think a very successful tour day overall, but there's one thing missing from a trip to Naples that we haven't done yet, and we're going to get some pizza.
Yes.
You can't come to Naples, the purported home and invention of pizza. We had to get a good Nepalese pizza, and I think that's what you say, Neapolitan, I guess, pizza. And so we looked up, we found a place. Now there is an extremely famous pizza place called McKelly's here. It was in Eat, Pray, Love, I believe, the movie.
I'm in love. I'm having a relationship with my pizza.
It's about a 30-minute walk from the port if your cruise ship is here. We did talk to a couple of people that went there. They said it was good. In fact, the pizzas are only like €5, and they're done in 90 seconds, very quick. But there's a long line. People are always there. So we found an alternate place a little closer to the port, and it was awesome. Probably one of the best pizzas I have had in my life. You think, is it really going to be that good? What was the name of the place we went to? I think it was Fratelli Medina. Fratelli Medina, real near the port. We recommend it, and the pizza was great, so we enjoyed that a lot. And then from there, we went ahead and walked back to the ship.
We've got another big day tomorrow, Mike.
We're
going to Rome.
Yeah.
So we're going to see the Colosseum, see the Forum. This is one of the included wonders, the included world wonders that Royal has provided for us on this trip. So we're going to get ready to go see that.
That's right. So let's see how that turns out. How does our latest trip to Rome? We've been there a few times. We'll see how this one compares to other times we've been. But all the other times we've never gone to the Colosseum. So
that's right. So we're going to actually go inside the Colosseum.
Right. So we hope you follow along with us and see this wonder of the world tomorrow.
Thanks, friends, for being here. We appreciate you, and we will see you very soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.